the respective contexts. Got it. Putting it in the respective contexts that we are in and the respective industries, it ideally means that we need to spend more time thinking on ways in which we can make ourselves much more efficient and to improve our productivity. A good example would be with Tesla, for example. Tesla right now have, and other companies we've seen following through, they've built the self-driving cars. Ideally, what that means for you is that if you are a CEO, it means that you can spend more time closing those deals, or if you're a sales agent, you'll spend more time closing those deals while being driven, and at the same time, do not spend money on employing a chauffeur, right? So the idea here is to make what is currently there more efficient and to work for us, thereby improving our productivity as human beings. So what that translates to is, of course, more money for you. If you're a CEO, more close rates. If you're a sales agent, and the use cases go on and on and on. So for us, I think it's good to just listen to the noise, where that noise is coming from, and make that conscious decision to, just to want to learn, to want to understand what exactly that is. So that you are not left behind. It will get to a point in the near future where probably what we are talking about right now will be equal to when Windows was starting, for example, right? So it's always a journey, and with every revolution, with every step that we take ahead as a human race, it's always good to listen to the noise. We have people who made a lot of money during the .com boom. Right now they are investors in like really big companies. So for now, it's now a matter of identifying what the current noise about AI is, and figuring out your niche in it and making it work for you.
Thank you, Victor. I want to ask you, assuming I am a standard 1 kid or a standard 2 kid, what is AI? Somebody said that there's a lot of jargon. To me, probably AI is jargon. What essentially is AI, and what does it entail?
Okay. So again, I'll just try as much as possible to break it down. AI is basically the use of technology, digital technology, to create systems that are capable of performing tasks which initially were thought to require human intelligence. Simply put, you can think of it as developing a technology that is able to help you to drive, for example. It's something that initially was thought to require human intelligence, and an actual human being had to do it. But then creating software systems and digital technology to basically do that for you, simply put, that is AI.
Thank you very much. Birma, you are in the HR space. What is your experience of using AI to conduct your HR operations? And how do you push for it? For example, it requires a budget. Because most people think that AI is very expensive. For example, buying a HR system is very expensive. How do you convince the money bags, for lack of an accurate word, to embrace technology?
Well, I think it actually makes processes very seamless, very easy. And as you're talking about the cost, I think it's very cost effective, because once you invest in a system, that's it. And once you invest in a system, you're able to, like, your data is going to be safe. A lot of processes are going to be automated. So you're going to save a lot of time. So really, I think it's something that makes processes very seamless. Unless if you're in HR, you have to to convince your bosses probably to get to buy the systems. Yeah, but it's easy, it's fun, and it makes for people, especially in HR.
Sorry, are you there, Elizabeth? Hello. As we wait for her to come, Victor, you are not a HR person. How do you decide to develop a system that will satisfy a human resource professional?
About that.
It's all right. It's all right.
No worries.
Oh yeah, I was talking about you see, like developers would create systems and then they'll let us use them. If they're not efficient enough, it will go back to them so that they rectify wherever they, the malwares or whatever, and then we get to use them. So I think one thing would just be for developers to create solutions that are effective and they're friendly for non-technical people to use, so that even when we get to, because at the end of the day, it's all about creating solutions, right?
Yeah.
And so they also have to create solutions that are going to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question I was asking before you dropped is, Victor, you're not a HR person. How do you decide to develop a system that certifies HR operations such that it convinces a HR person that this particular system or application is going to satisfy HR operations? How do you undertake research? What do you do such that you are able, or do you sit down with HR people so that you can come up, or you sit alone somewhere and decide this is what?
Actually, one of the biggest mistakes that I see product owners and software engineers do is to create solutions that they think will work in different setups, which is never the case. So when coming up with some of these solutions, of course, it has to be solving a particular problem. So what this means is that it is feedback based and user driven kind of solution. Yeah. So what that means is that you need to understand the current process as is. So and it's also good to document some of this stuff, so that when coming up with a solution, then you also look at it from a commercial point of view, right? So it means that you need to do a lot of research across the particular industry that you're interested in. Look at the processes as is, how that impacts other users. So in this case, it could be a HR solution, for example, that is able to reduce the time that their users get feedback during onboarding, for instance. Yeah. And some of the solutions that we've seen and also implemented for some clients is to develop a WhatsApp chatbot, basically, such that if you are a newbie, you just joined a team that has more than 300 employees, at times it gets very hard for you to just find your way, looking at documentations, the do's and don'ts. It's still very early days for you. But then think about it as simply as just asking a WhatsApp chatbot to give you access to a particular information. It's as simple as what that means is it's as if you are texting or chatting your HR manager or your HR supervisor. But then in this case, this is being handled by an AI-driven chatbot. So what that means for you as an HR practitioner is that the time it takes to onboard this particular resource is greatly reduced, meaning that they are brought up to speed on the company's policies and procedures in a much shorter time, meaning that they begin being productive for you in a much shorter turnaround time. So To just wrap it up, for you to be able to come up with these solutions, it has to be user-driven. Who are you building this solution for? What are you trying to solve, or what are you trying to achieve? And then for the C-level players, how does that translate in terms of the financial aspect of it? It could be a simple thing as a reduction in the onboarding process by 5%, meaning that this person will be available to be able to produce a certain output for you much faster. So these are some of the things that you put into consideration. You model them and then you present, and then they get to see how that will fit in their strategy, and then eventually they adopt it. So that's the basic process about when going through it.
Thank you, Victor. Now, one of the reasons why the HR Talk was initiated is to bring the conversation between the tech people and the HR professionals. Biema, you may realize that installing a system has got its own problem. It's a change management, and people resist change. The transformation from old HR to the new HR, so to speak, is difficult because there is that phobia that people are going to lose their job. How do you manage this resistance to transformation? How should we assist organizations in embracing the real, because there is that resistance to change when new things come?
Well, first, I think it's just through evangelism. Of course, if we automate a lot of systems, you're going to get more, it's going to help us get more accurate information. It's going to help us make more data-driven decisions. We're going to get to understand the business more. For example, you're able to understand the workforce because of such AI solutions that come up. For example, they are usually personality tests and the likes. When you get to do the search, you're able to understand people's personalities, people's characters, patterns that come up. And it's also going to help you to understand the performance metrics. You see, it helps a lot in terms of the company growth as opposed to doing things the paper way, and which, for example, if many people, especially if you're dealing with a big group of employees, it's going to be hard to have a personalized treatment to everyone, which is going to have a lot of bias at the end of the day, or you're not going to probably meet everyone's needs. So when you have these automated systems, it's going to really help to make the work faster, get really accurate data, and also make it more accurate in a way. Yeah.
Okay.
It's also very important, Coach. It's also very important because you see, like, you're able to automate tasks. So I feel like it helps us get rid of a lot of work. Like you're doing a lot of work that, I'm sorry to say, could probably not be making sense when you should be focusing on strategy and the likes. I know you have always been complaining on being on the business side of the growth of the company. So you see, when you get rid of a lot of transactional HR staff or other HR functions, you're able to also focus on the growth of the company. And that's how you, as an individual, you're also able to grow.
Thank you. Before we go into ChatGPT, Victor, how do you help in transforming? Because there must be some coexistence. Resistance will be there. If I know that I am the one who is managing pension, I'm the one who is managing payroll, and a machine is going to come or a program is going to come and reduce my work, I will be reluctant in pushing for this installation. How do you assist in the transformation of what you create such that people embrace it without resisting?
Yeah, for sure. Like you mentioned, change. Not everyone is open to change. In fact, change management is usually key when doing any software handover, right? So the approach here is two ways: one, top down and bottom up. I had to mention bottom up because of
for lack of a better
government.
word.
Yeah, but there has to be buy-in from the management downwards, and from down up, basically. So the idea here is to through evangelism, like had been mentioned before, just try and find ways in which you're able to explain to these people that this particular software, these particular systems are not there to take their jobs, but to help them do their jobs. One thing that we've noticed in this journey is that people do not actually think that they need it until they actually see that we actually needed this thing, right? But getting to that point is where the problem usually is. So there's a lot of workshops, trainings, and there also has to be buy-in, especially from the human resource team, to basically just reinforce the fact that these particular softwares or these particular systems are being implemented to do XYZ. Could be to increase our productivity based on a certain roadmap that the company is envisioning. It could be to make our output 3x, 4x, 5x. So walking your employees through this process, through the benefits that implementing and adopting these systems will bring, that is usually key, and that is addressed during change management. And it does not stop at the point where these systems have already been implemented, but it also goes on. User training and user support is a continuous process. Yeah, so that everyone is in sync and everyone gets to understand what this thing actually does. And in this case, it basically helps them to do their job much, much better and much, much more efficient.
Thank you. Now, let us go to the new kid on the block. Why should I download, as a HR person, why should I download ChatGPT?
Do you have it already? Let me piggyback that question to you.
Have
you tried
it? Yes. Actually, we tried it with Nelson. We were having a cup of coffee, and he took me through it, and I was scared. Is this thing going to make us stupid because it provides answers? Are we going to become daft because we have something that writes letters for us? Yes.
Coach, it's a software. It's not an application.
It's all right, whichever.
Okay. Sure. So again. So ChatGPT 3, what is it? So GPT-3 basically is a language model. So in full it stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3, right? So what this is it's a language model. It's a large language model, and I'll just go deeper into that. That basically uses what we call deep learning to produce human-like text. A large language model ideally is able to predict speech and is able to almost accurately give and predict then a certain pattern in human-like speech. Think about it the way you'd train your kid how to talk. Initially, they'll start saying, this mumbled up words, but then with time, through exposure, through, putting them in a certain environment, they're now able to combine words, right? So how this model works is more or less similar, whereby this chatbot, or this generative pre-trained transformer is fed different data points, and with that it's now able to predict how a particular speech, a particular pattern within a speech would look like. And that is why the reason why we are calling it GPT-3 is because there's been an evolution for us to get to 3. Of course, there was 2, there was 1, right? And the main difference with this is that where we are right now at GPT-3, we are able to produce and to give much more complex and human understandable content that was not there in previous versions. Previous versions, it was just, something simple. It could not do it at the capacity that GPT-3 is currently doing it. And in that evolution chain, GPT-4, for example, will do 10 times what GPT-3 is currently doing.
Thank you. Biama, we were with Nelson in a restaurant and we literally wrote, was it a redundancy letter, Nelson? A dismissal letter, I think. What should we take care of?
Hello, yes. Should I contribute or I let you proceed?
No, I wanted you to confirm whether it was a dismissal letter or it was a redundancy letter.
What we do best, warning letter.
It's a warning. It was a warning letter. Now, Biama, what should we be very careful about when we decide to use
ChatGPT?
Yes. What should we be careful about?
So first, just like Victor said, it's an LLM. So it generates text as the AI, not as an individual. So it doesn't have the human touch. Even when you want to get the information that you're going to key in, whatever prompt that you're going to give it has to be right. But also you still have to come and fine tune it in a way so that it doesn't look as generated by the AI, that it has a human touch. Because I have been using it, of course, to do the same. But of course, you see, even what it gets you is not. It definitely has a touch of it being generated by ChatGPT, but you have to come and fine tune it, come and edit a few things so that you use it. Of course, many people are using cover letters. Like today, I was seeing on Twitter that there's someone who did a whole, like a resume, a cover letter, applied for a job, and it actually went through the screening process. And that person, it went to actually the final stage of recruitment. And it was a generated ChatGPT text, or rather ChatGPT resume and all that. Yeah.
Victor,
So,
that is, okay. All right. You're done?
Yeah.
Victor, my good friend Madhangan is asking, is it likely to create laziness, cognitive laziness? That's a question for Victor. Given that it does almost 80%, even if you're going to do some bit of revamping and editing, will it not create some cognitive laziness?
Yeah. Well, it depends with which side you're sitting on this, right? So of course, there are pros and cons to this thing. But one thing that it cannot take away for sure, like has been mentioned, is that human touch, that human intuition. There are some certain nuances that it won't recognize per se, right? So to just help you out and probably for the scholars in the room, probably if they're lecturers and all, what is currently being developed is a way to put this to bed, whereby people in the HR space or the academia space are able to know that this particular text is AI generated, right? So I mean, of course, that will come in future, but as it is right now, it depends. So I'm from where I sit, I'm looking at it from a point of, it is more or less putting us in a position where we question things more, right? Because we are now looking at it from a point of what it has generated. So if it's a matter of you've given it a topic and it's given you an answer, right? So if you are a teacher, there's no need, rather from where I sit, there's no need for you to condemn your kids from not using it. Rather, you should you should encourage them to query it further. Like, why did it think that way? And then go do a deep dive on that, right? So with that, what it does for us as humans is that it expands our cognitive thinking. So I look at it, from a point of, it helping us to improve our cognitive thinking and development, as opposed to making it lazy. Of course, there are those who are going to have to use it to take shortcuts, but from where I sit, that's how I'd use it.
Yeah, when I was coming home, I wrote to myself, will you and me be replaced by artificial intelligence or become more creative? I can see Rose has asked the question about creativity. maybe you can comment on it. I can see Rose Wangara has asked us a question about takes away human creativity.
I'm curious to know what it responded back to.
No. I wrote to myself. I hadn't really instructed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, so you see, when human creativity is something that will always be there, and that is why we as humans are in this place where we're able to create this thing. We imagine this thing, and then we went ahead and created it in such a way that it's now able to do human-like things, right? So human creativity is something that can never be wished away or washed away from us, as long as the human race is in existence, right? We thought about fire, we invented fire, it was, the best thing that we ever invented at some point, right? So at that particular point in time, it was the ish, right? So right now we are at this point whereby, we are talking about AI and all. When it comes to creativity, we will always think of things first and then get to implement them. So long as we do that, it means we'll always be one step ahead.
Birma, for those who have not had an experience, how does it work?
Well, it's easy. You go to, it's chat.openai.com. And then you log in, and then you're able to search. Now, that's where the problem comes in, because you're going to ask it as a person, and it's not going to, for example, you ask it in like one part, like me as an individual, it will tell you that I am just an AI tool, I am not able to generate it. Now, when you ask it, you give it a prompt that, please answer these as a recruiter, as someone, as an interviewer, as someone who's looking for a job, and then you give it the prompt. You ask it the question of what it's supposed to answer it. So I think that is what is really going to change. I have been seeing the current trend ever since it was launched on 30th of November. Yeah, so things have been changing, and I think there have been a lot of improvements coming up with it. And so even in terms of the search, so you see, at the end of the day, not everyone is going to be good at it. It also needs you to be very creative, because if you're not creative, then you're not going to make the most out of it. You're just going to get, average content that possibly will not serve you well. So you also have to be very, very creative, and of course, just learn the technical skills around it, how you're supposed to do the search, how you're supposed to give the prompt. And maybe I can share a thread afterwards to Nelson, and maybe he can share with other people on how you can do the prompts and how you can do the searches so that you can make the most out of ChatGPT.
All right. There is a time I was in a webinar, and the executive director said that the next part of your training should be practical development of human policies. Nelson, are you able to do the practical part so that we can be able to see how it works? Just a practical answer to what BM has responded to, how it works.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, very visible.
Yeah. So now, Yes, so if you can see my screen, then you can already see that I'm already inside. So
maybe you expand it.
This is the link that, okay. So this is whatever we have. So if I expand, it might lose the test.
Okay, you can go.
So saying that if you don't know what it's all about, you can just go to the internet and just type ChatGPT. So if you do that, you'll always get it coming out. So the first one here, you can choose that and see which one is going to bring us about. So this is a landing page that will always give you. But then you go to try ChatGPT here. So if you click on this, then it will automatically bring you to the page like this, where it tells you, gives an example of questions that you can actually answer. The capabilities, what we've been asking ourselves, remembers what user said earlier in the conversation. So it can remember what you said earlier, allows user to provide follow-up corrections. So we'll also able to try to see that. Train to decline appropriate requests. So if you wanted to ask how to kill someone, it might not give you. But again, what we are saying that because this is something that has been trained by what people have been by what has been generated earlier, then and again, you are intelligent more than this. So there's a way you can ask it how to kill someone or how to dismiss someone in a wrong way, then it will still give you answer that you require. So that's also another example that we can actually check on later to see how it actually works. But for the current HTTP, it will not give you inappropriate requests. It won't answer that. So what are the limitations? May occasionally generate incorrect information. So it's not actually 100% correct. So even though we are hyping it as saying that it's also a reality, but some information will not be correct. What does it tell you? That if it doesn't master your craft, then it will be a problem for you. May occasionally produce harmful instructions or biased content. What you're talking about that at times the way you ask it can give you something that wasn't intended to come out. Then limited knowledge of world and events after 2021. So what Victor will tell you is that it was trained with data that was 2021 and beyond and earlier. So whatever happened after 2021, it doesn't know. So it doesn't know that I don't know what happened in 2022. Maybe some of them it will always have, others it will not have. So that as it learns, as it go through. So now, what happens that it is already keeping your history of what you ask it about. So ask it about people analytics books titles so that I can also go and read. Yeah. So now, starting a new chat which already have here, and you're saying that in HR, sometimes you'll always be asked to go draft a promotional letter or go draft show cause letter or a warning letter. So a good HR, you start thinking, or you go to WhatsApp group and start asking people, if you have a template of a warning letter, please share with me. So we don't ask that one nowadays. What we do, we go to ChatGPT and say, draft a warning letter. So say that. That is still thinking. So let's hope that our request is okay. So we already have a warning letter here in less than a minute, right? So it means that if you are smart enough and your boss doesn't know where you're getting the results, you already gotten a draft. So what remains is now your expertise, your understanding of your company policies and procedures, your understanding of labor laws of Kenya, your understanding of whatever took place, the background of this case that you want to write a letter of, so that whenever now you are drafting a case, a warning letter of a case that was sorted out, then now you as a HR now you'll come and read the letter. So dear, so you don't say dear employee, you now give the person's details. And then you can see that it's telling us unacceptable and violation of company policies. So we know that we will always need to say exactly what policy or what policy was violated. So then you'll come and edit this letter that you're having, but already it's telling you specifically list specific actions or incidences that led to the warning. So again, you see that you need to have some feel of the case. You need to have some feel of labor laws, of what is happening, have some feel of your company policies. So maybe we are saying that we can try and edit this and tell it to include. So we can just say, because remember, we are saying that it can remember what is already going on. So we can say that include date of the violation of the policy as 10th January 2023. So let's see whether it will redraft our letter and give us. So see now, it's now able to edit. So this is what Elizabeth was saying, that can you give a prompt that it can actually listen to, that can give you a final answer? Because again, remember that you're generating something, and every now you generate, you have a new letter that's coming up. So how many times will you be doing this? So you need to have your thought process. Give it what you're thinking, then it will give you a draft, then you proceed with that. That's why I'm saying that now. It will give you some few information, then from there, you as the expert now. Remember, ChatGPT is not a trained HR, a licensed HR. Yeah, you are the HR now. So you actually know how this thing should work. So we're saying that another example would be that you want to train your team on disciplinary handling, and I don't have the training content, and the time is less. You don't want to call Nelson, Richard, to give you a training content, or you want to share with the consultant. You want to write your RFP, request for proposals. So you want to just know, what will I be looking at so that I can draft a good training program. So you will say that we ask you to draft a training areas on disciplinary handling. So is it giving us something? So now these are the areas that you need to train people on disciplinary handling, which some of them you might be knowing, some of them you might not be knowing. So this is how ChatGPT works for you. So what will happen is that it's on someone else's platform. So what happens is that now for this one, we say that this is now the catalog kind of IT system where you just go, get what is there, then come back and change it. So you don't have it within your system. So we talked about FinClock, which already I've added some part of AI into their system again. So remember that now ChatGPT, if you are careful, so this one here dropped. These are challenges that now you can always face. You see that it can't complete the process, the response. So there was an error. So again, something that you will always be facing as you use the artificial intelligence. So it's like you are doing something, then someone slaps you or talks to you when you're in the middle of thinking. Then so this kind of things happens. Yeah. So we are saying that ChatGPT, as things go by, I read in an article that they are looking to have whatever you're using currently is just a demo. There will be a paid version of this. So are you ready to buy this? So again, it won't be here for long for free. There'll be a paid version of it.
A wait list.
Yeah. So how many companies will be able to purchase this? Just like we have, we say that Excel is a powerful tool. But how many of us have got the most current Excel? Most of us are still using 2013 things. So how many of us have bought 365, which is actually Microsoft 365, which is automatic, all of it is in cloud. So we see that we might also remain behind when it comes to the AI. But now the system providers that we have in our country and in the world are now also bringing this into the system, so that whenever you buy a system, like now I'm having here HRMS from FinClock. So they've also have their AI assistant within the system, right? So if you go to this, so say I am Pi, your AI assistant. I can help some tasks. So now it's not loading correctly. So let me just check on that. Should actually be able to give me that aspect. So it's also be able to give us something. So Jellican, you can get someone else as I just get into it.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
I want to. Okay. Moderator of choice, you can unmute yourself and tell us something.
It is here, Jellica.
Okay.
So just same that we asked ChatGPT to give us draft, a warning letter. So the AI with RMS Finiclop can also give you. So I've closed instead. Okay. Yeah, I'll just work on it. So we can have someone else coming up, but it's already here and we're able to show it.
All right, moderator of choice, what do you think? Grace, you have something to tell us about transforming our organizations into AI-oriented. I'm a talker. Madangani, what do you think? Coach Madangani, what do you think? What? Yes, Grace.
This is quite interesting. And I think, let me quote Madangani now that you are calling him. I think the one song that Madangani sang to us last year was, technology is really changing how we do things. And if we don't change with technology, technology will change us. So I'm really enjoying this conversation. I was telling Nelson, one of, he's a sales and marketing consultant. And we were having a conversation about this ChatGPT. And it's amazing how technology is really revolutionizing how we do things. Yeah. Or what was the question, Richard?
That is the question. That is the answer. I wanted you to inspire us to embrace this thing. You know, there's a lot of phobia for new things. So I wanted your word of encouragement for HR people that still we have work to do. You know, like now it has generated, we can easily say that it is not completely, it is half-baked. So that our solid knowledge comes in terms of, in fact, it is even going to challenge us to be more brilliant, if you ask me. Thank you very much. Madangani, you have something to say? No. Okay. I can see my boss is here. Joan, you have something to say?
It's been an interesting discussion. I've learned a lot. Good to see Nelson, Victor, all my schoolmates from back then. I've really learned a lot. Looking forward to next Thursday. Thank you.
All right. All right. Who is some? I can see Njogona. Njogona, you have something to say? Gerard Njogona.
Thanks, Richard. This is Joan Kimashia.
Yes.
Hello.
Joan. Yeah. Let Joan speak first.
Thank you so much, Richard, for the presentation and everyone who has contributed. Of course, there's that issue of fear of losing jobs and all. But as you have said, it's going to make us even more brilliant because, again, whatever data it gives you, it is like a draft. Then from there, you also have to think. So it's a good initiative, and thank you for inviting me for this meeting. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. Yes, Gerard Njogona.
Yes, Coach, this is a very good and very encouraging. I hope people embrace it. And as Elizabeth, somebody was saying, it will bring some laxity. It is a wake-up call because we are supposed to control machines. Machines are not supposed to control us. So if you want to sleep, but you still have to do the job, check up and everything. So it's a very encouraging, very good.
All right, we have exceeded our time by 8 minutes. I want Victor to give us a parting shot, then Biema, and then Nelson.
Yeah, so it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure being here, talking to everyone about the benefits of AI. I think the onus is now on us to demystify, what people think out there about AI, especially in the HR space. I'm looking forward to engaging with you all in different spaces. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm available on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to discuss areas of automation that anyone is looking to implement. Thank you so much. Enjoy your weekend for those wenye hatutaongea. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Birma, I know you love technology more than you have human resource, but I know you tell us something as we finish.
Oh, well, thank you so much for this platform, talking to everyone. It has been a pleasure. But I would like to encourage everyone, especially human resources in this group, that you should champion to revolutionize a digital workspace. It makes work easy. I heard Jen recently talking about candidate experience. And when you digitize many operations from the HR, it also makes candidate experience easy, fun, and you see, it's such things would make you even attract better talent, just because things are automated. There's a lot of information online. Processes are seamless. It's simple to get through to processes to the end. So I would just champion everyone. Please get to it. Let's get rolling. Yeah, tech is fun. Tech is it. I mean, yeah. Well, thank you so much. We can connect on LinkedIn as Elizabeth Biama, on Twitter, Liz Biama, and above all, I am open as well to discuss more on ChatGPT, help people on AI assistance, especially in the HR space and in the workforce. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Nelson, you have something to say before we call it a wrap?
Okay, yeah. So I was just using the HRMIS from FiniClock to generate for us a policy on promotion. It has actually given us that. So if you're a HR and you're looking for systems, then you're in safe hands, and that's what HR Tech Talk is all about. How are we going to make sure that HRs, we do things that are accurate and are able to promote business, so that you don't waste time looking for resources, but they're already there with you. And again, number two is that what we can see with systems, they don't work without data. It has to be clean data. So our problem in HR, we still have incomplete data. Incomplete data, I mean incomplete data about even staff. So I don't know how we'll gather more data that will help us even more. So as HR, we must be able to maintain clean data sources and be able to maintain that data in terms of it can actually be used for decision making, so that even the AI can actually build some trends. So anything that is behind AI is about clean data. So if you don't have clean data, then there is a problem. You will not be able to build a good AI or even build a good systems. So I want to encourage us all that we need to first, even first think about analytics. Do you have good data? So that will form part of our next talk, where we look at the record management in a system. So system that we have here, we have systems, we have WorkPay, where you can actually, instead of you now currently having a file, you now will be having an online file. Yeah, and we have systems that we have here, HR mates can also still do the same. So how do you manage records correctly? Because without that, even if you buy a system that is worth 1 million, 3 million, it will not help you with the poor record. So us as HRs, how do we ensure that we keep clean records? And how can system help you keep clean records? Remember, you can write 2, 3, 4, or write 1, 2, 3, and the paper will still pass. But for a system, there are some systems that we do so that you don't write 1, 2, 3. If you are supposed to write 1, 2, 3, 4. So we need to embrace using systems so that it can help us support our imagination that we are having. And I will end this by saying that it is already been, I don't know who quoted this, but someone said that AI will not replace you because you are better than AI. And imagine all of us are unique. Just imagine all of us are unique. So if we sit together to discuss, then you can always come up with the new ideas. A person who uses AI will replace you. So that you have been seeing, you can see here that if it was me and you, if you didn't know about HRMIS or didn't know about ChatGPT, and my boss is your boss, and the boss asks both of us to generate a policy, may I come use this and edit kidogo? How long will it take me to get that policy before you get yours? So I'll be more efficient than you, or you'll be more efficient than me if you're using AI tools plus your expertise. So let us embrace technology as we do what we need to do as humans. Thank you, Jelican. I get it back to you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for the energy. Thank you very much, Birma, for the enthusiasm that you've shown during this discussion. I appreciate. May God bless you all. My name is Richard. I have put my number on the chat. That the certain things also I do. If in case your organization needs airtime, it needs phones, you can reach out. We sell very quality phones. Kindly take my number from there, 0710 7029. Also, I know BMA, you also sell phones. Yeah, thank you very much. And may God bless everyone. See you next Thursday for another very robust discussion about technology. HR technology is where we are headed to. Thank you very much. God bless. Enjoy your supper and good night.
Thank you.
You can unmute and say good night. We can all
Thank
say
you
in unison.
and good night.
Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you and good night. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you and good night.
Awesome session.
Good night.
Good night, Catherine. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Man Yambura. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Victoria Gidau. Tunwande Amure. Thank you. We had friends from Nigeria, West Africa. Thank you very much, Caroline Mogaka.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much as well.
This is Boyd from Mombasa.
Boyd. Send cashew nuts. Asante sana for being here. I didn't
Boyd
see
should
that,
do
but I'll give you a
something.
chance to say.
Boyd should do something.
Boyd,
Here I am.
cashew nuts, bwana.
Or we are coming to Mombasa actually.
Or we are
Either
coming for coffee.
We'll come for coffee there.
Karibu sana.
Yeah.
Nimewafuata tu kwa chini chini.
Chini, lakini sasa lazima tukuje tunanulie chai tungu.
Karibu, inaitwa kawa tungu wewe.
Kawa tungu, yeah, sawa.
Yeah, I can see Florence is also in Mombasa.
Lawrence, Bogwa,
Mkangoni
Collins
Fundi.
Omondi, Miriam Gakuo, Patricia Wekesa, Regina, Rosemary, Stella Mwangi, Tenua Amure,
We thank all
Zipporah.
of them.
We thank you very much for being around. Nora Oyaro, Agatha, my friend, you are there. I can see you. Jen Akunda, Hezron Okioma, Juliet Kuril, Lydia Mbaka, Mary, Marcin Joroge. Who else have I not mentioned? Thank you very much and good night.
I can see my friend here, Lydia Mbaka, was in the session.
In the chat, in the call. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, Agatha is here. Agatha has been keeping tabs since 2020.
She's an enthusiastic learner. She's a good learner. She's very energetic. Yeah. Then we
Okay,
have,
so
thank you.
let's end the meeting there. Jellican, thank you very much, and have a good night. And all
You
of
too,
us,
bro.
let's have a good night.
You too, bro. Jay also, I think I've seen Jay.
Yeah, he left. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good night.